Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Swivel Yoga. I'm Joe. Today we've got a wavy flow going on, and if you'd like to follow along with an audio, there's a link in the description for a playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. So you press play now, you should be right on track with the music. So today, let's get started at the top of the mat, standing in mountain pose. So just gonna take a few breaths here. And in this mountain pose, notice your feet flat against the mat, really feeling grounded here. From there, you work your way up your body. Your thighs are engaged, maybe finding some internal rotation on the thighs. Up to your belly, your core is engaged, maybe even finding some flexation in your pelvic floor, your pelvic core, your pelvic floor, you know what I'm talking about. Right in here, turn it on, engage it. Your palms will be facing forward, your head is up straight, your spine is straight, your shoulders back, shoulders down, away from the ears. Just really stand with intention, focusing on the breath. We'll take a few deep inhales. Be here for a few more breaths, so inhale. On a deep exhale. Do 2 more breaths. All right, from here, you can stay at the top of your mat. I'm gonna rotate sideways so you can see what I'm doing. We'll find some wrist circles forward and then rotate it backwards, small wrist circles. We're really just focusing on getting warmed up here. From here, you can take your arms out perpendicular with your body and start doing some waves, just getting the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the neck, nice and warmed up. And then switch it the other way. Maybe it's kind of like a dance move. You're just passing it to your homie and he passes it back, just getting warmed up here. From here, we'll take some smaller waves, interlacing your fingers at prayer or in a folded position, and then bringing the one elbow all the way to the other, feeling it in every muscle from left to right. We'll take about 3 of these, 3, 4, 5. I'm not really counting. And then the other way. Maybe you take them really slow. Maybe you take them a little faster. Just getting nice and warmed up here. Again, deep breaths in and out. Maybe you change directions one more time. And then finish going the other direction. All right. From here, we're gonna warm up the spine a little bit. So just bring your arms out. Well, if you're standing straight, bring them out a little bit. And then rotate from your shoulders down, really just letting your arms be noodles and just letting them go where they want. You're gonna find a slight twist in your back, warming up your back. Maybe even here you find a bend in your knees, warming up your knees, getting a deeper twist, just going with the flow. Do a few more of these. Focus on your breath. Deep inhales and exhales. Then on your next inhale, find stillness in your mountain pose at the top of the mat, if you're still there. If you're not, no big deal, but I would encourage you to get to the top of the mat. Take a few deep breaths. Then on your next inhale, reach your arms high, gazing towards your palms. Again, here we're going to be engaged in our pelvic floor, your core, your glutes are engaged, maybe your thighs are rotating inward. You're finding grounding through your feet. Big inhale. And exhale. Bring it all the way down to a nice forward fold. Here you can let your head hang down. Maybe you find a ragdoll, interlacing opposing hands on your elbows, finding little movement left to right, letting your head hang loose like a grape on a vine. Deep breaths. And on your next inhale, straighten your spine to a halfway lift. Hands will come to your shins. Deep inhale. And on your exhale, bring it back down to a forward fold. This time, planting your hands flat on the mat. Maybe even bending your knees if you need to reach your hands flat on the mat. And then we're going to inhale, root to rise all the way up. Hands up. Rest here. From here, you can either stay here for a few breaths or you can find some calf engagement, getting up on your tiptoes, engaging your pelvic floor here, and then exhaling down. Feet come flat all the way down to that forward fold with your hands planted on the mat. From here, we're going to take small steps back to the back of the mat, and we will end up in a downward dog, but one step at a time. And when you get to this downward facing dog, you're going to want to push through your hands, look towards your feet, maybe through your legs, find a few deep breaths. And since this is the first downward dog of the day, of the practice, maybe you're going to pedal out your feet left and right, bending one leg, bending the other leg. Just finding what serves you in this downward facing dog. We'll be here a few more breaths, so maybe you pedal out your feet a few more times, and then find stillness and find your breath. And on the next inhale, you're going to walk your hands back to your feet, foot by foot, almost like a wave, but not quite. Then you're going to find a nice forward fold here again at the back of the mat. We're going to be here for a little bit, so maybe you find that ragdoll again, shaking your head like a grape on a vine. Then finding stillness and a few deep breaths. Maybe even exhaling out your mouth, letting it all out. Then we're going to inhale back up to that root to rise. And again here, if you would like a deeper expression in your calves, bring it to the tiptoes. Then exhale down your hands through heart center, back into that mountain pose. Make sure we're engaging here, standing with intention. And by engaging, I mean, you know it. The inner core, your pelvic floor, your pelvic core, your inner thighs, your glutes, your back, your spine is straight, your shoulders are back, engage. All right, from here, we're going to inhale, arms up, exhale, back into that forward fold with the hands planted. And then from here, one hand at a time, walk it out forward, back into that downward facing dog. We're going to hold this one for a few breaths, not as long as before. In this downward dog, look through your feet. Bring your hips up. Just focus on the breath. A few more inhales and exhales. Then on your next exhale, excuse me.
On your next exhale, you're going to inhale again, and then exhale that. And then that inhale, you're going to walk your feet 1 foot at a time all the way top of the mat to a forward fold. Inhale, arms high. Exhale through heart center, in to mountain pose. From here, we're going to take a couple modified sun sal Bs. So we'll get nice and warmed up. All right, so let's just take a few breaths in this mountain. Inhale, exhale. All right, and then on your next inhale, reach your arms up high, straight, biceps frame the ears, and then bring it down into that chair pose. So here your weight is going to be in your heels. Your feet are about 6 inches apart. If I didn't mention that earlier, we're just going to hold a few deep breaths. Tuck your tail, engage your core. Feel it in your core, and you won't feel it in your legs as much. Do a few more deep breaths here. We're going to hold this one longer than the other ones, so there's your warning. One more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the palms, step back into downward facing dog. I'm going to hold it for a few breaths here. Inhale, you're going to shift your way forward into a high plank. Exhale, we're going to lower all the way down, belly on the mat. We'll have opportunities for chaturangas later in the practice. But for this one, bring it all down to the mat. We're going to take a cobra here. So plant your palms under your shoulders. Bring your elbows in, close to the chest. Then on an inhale, bring your lift with your lower back. You should be able to bring your hands up off the mat and find length in your neck. Just take a few more inhales here. Exhale. One more inhale. Maybe you find a little more lift on that inhale. And exhale all the way down. So from here, cobra pose. Next, we're going to push up, back to that downward facing dog. Finding a few breaths here. Then on your next inhale, bring your right foot to the top of the mat. Spin your left foot down at a 45-degree angle. And then lift up with your core, arms above head, into warrior one. Your hips are going to be parallel with the front of the mat. You're going to have a solid bend in your front knee, and then your back foot is going to have weight pushing into the outer knife edge or pinky toe side of the foot. You're going to maybe find a slight back bend, gaze up, extending straight out of your hands, and then exhale. Bring your palms to the flat, or bring your palms flat on the mat, framing your right foot. And then on the same exhale, send it back into a high plank position. From here, we're going to lower back all the way down into that cobra position. Elbows tight into the rib cage. And then inhale. Use your back muscles to lift your chest off the mat. We're going to be here for about one more breath. So inhale. And then exhale, back down. And then from here, push up into a high plank position. And then back into your downward facing dog. Few breaths here. Then on your next inhale, bring your left foot to the top of the mat. Spin your right foot down at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, use your core to lift up into that warrior one position. Your front knee is going to be bent and your back foot is going to have weight pushing into the knife edge side of it. Take a few inhales and exhales here. Finding your gaze towards the ceiling. This is going to be a slight back bend here. One more breath. Then on the exhale, bring your hands down to frame that left foot, send it back into your high plank position. And from here, you can lower all the way down and find the cobra we did earlier, or you can lower down into a chaturanga on your exhale, and then inhale up into an upward facing dog with your hips off the mat. And then exhale back into a downward facing dog. And if you took cobra, you can push up and go back into that downward facing dog. We'll take a few breaths here. Maybe you spread your feet out and widen your stance a little bit if that feels comfortable for you. Pushing weight into the pads of your fingertips here, maybe relieving some of the pressure off your wrists. Looking through your legs here, letting your head hang. Then on your next inhale, bring your right foot to the top of the mat and your left foot. Maybe you take multiple steps. Maybe you hop, maybe you skip, maybe you float. And we'll be in a forward fold at the top of the mat. Then inhale your arms up and sit back into that chair pose with weight in your heels. We're going to take a few breaths here. Then inhale up, hands come through heart center, down at your sides into that mountain pose. Just take a few breaths here. Engaged, standing with intention. Some might even say a standing plank. I would encourage you to adjust or to resist the temptation of moving, even if your hair's in the way, like I just did. Move it if you need to. And my shirt, do as I say, not as I do. Find stillness. All right. We're going to work into one more of those sun sal bees. So inhale, arms up. Exhale, down into that chair pose. Weight in the heels. We're not going to be here as long as we were before, but still engage your core. Maybe find a straight spine. Maybe you tuck your tail in a little bit to achieve that. Then exhale, forward fold, hands on the mat. And then you can, from here, hop, skip, or jump back, or step back to your high plank position. Maybe you find high plank on your knees, or I guess it'd be, high plank from your knees. And then you can, from here, either lower down and through chaturanga into an up dog, or all the way down into a cobra pose. Then inhale, your chest up, exhale, back down, and then inhale, find your way back into a downward facing dog. From this downward facing dog, on your inhale, bring your right foot to the top of the mat, spin your left foot at a 45-degree angle, or bring your hands all the way up into your warrior one with your hips square to the front of the mat. Weight in your left foot, pinky edge side of the foot, and this bend in your front leg. We're going to take one more breath here. Maybe you find your gaze up, and then exhale, back down. Send your right foot to meet your left in that high plank position. Then you can lower down. Maybe you find your chaturanga this time on your exhale, and then inhale to an upward facing dog, and then exhale back, downward facing dog. Inhale, your left foot to the top of the mat this time. Spin your right foot back, 45-degree angle, arms all the way up to the sky. Your gaze will follow. Now you're in warrior one with your hips square to the front of the mat. A few breaths here. Exhale your hands back down, framing your left foot, send it back. Now you're back in that high plank position. Exhale, lower down in your chaturanga or your cobra pose. Inhale, upward dog or low cobra. Exhale, back into your downward facing dog. Take a few more breaths here. Then on your next inhale, hop, skip, or float to the top of the mat into a forward fold. And then inhale, drop your hips down into your chair pose, weight in your heels, arms extended overhead. Find a few breaths here. Then on your next inhale, bring it all the way up. Hands come through heart center, back into our mountain pose. All right. From here, we're going to work on some balancing poses. So we're going to start out with tree pose. Now, I'd encourage you to, if you've got a block, maybe you grab that for this next part, or a book, or maybe you don't need it, but I would encourage you to find a block or a book, something to stand on, or to help with your balance. So if you've got your block, you can grab it. All right, and we're going to start, it doesn't matter which direction you're facing on your mat, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm going to be facing the long edge side. And I'm going to shake my legs out a little bit. All right. Then when you're ready, roll the weight into your left foot, build a nice foundation. And then we've got a couple options in our tree pose. So we can start out, maybe it's a lower tree with our foot, our heel on our calf, just touching our toes to the ground. You can also find it with your left foot planted on the ground and then your right foot on your calf. Or if you would really, you can also find it, use your block for balance there. You can also find a deeper expression with your foot. Whoa, maybe you're wobbly and it's not feeling good. But no, you can find your foot on your standing foot on the inside of your thigh. Just wherever you're at, I'd encourage you to bring your hands to your heart center. Just focus on your breath here. Finding stillness, ideally. If you'd like a little more challenge, maybe close your eyes and try and find balance there. Maybe even float your arms up. Whatever feels good. You've got options here. Just know where you are. That's where your tree is supposed to be. And you know, this is a wavy practice, and trees sometimes wave in the wind, so I don't know if it's windy where you are, but you can always say that's why your tree's not stable, or maybe you're stable like an oak. Anyway, exhale, bring your hands through heart center, bring your foot back down to the ground. Maybe you shake out your feet a little bit, and get ready for the right side being our standing leg. All right, so take a deep breath. Then find grounding in your right foot. Inhale your left foot to wherever tree pose you're feeling today. Maybe a tree at the ankle with a block, at the calf, or up on your inner thigh. Finding your hands at heart center. Again here, maybe we can find closed eyes, finding our balance, or arms extended here. And in this tree pose, you're going to want to remember to stand up straight spine, and push your standing leg into your other leg. That makes sense. Your standing leg into your bent leg. The power is in your standing leg, so that's your main leg. Don't push, well, you want to try not to push your bent leg into the standing leg. The power comes from your standing leg. So take a few more breaths here.
Maybe you find that wave. Maybe your tree's waving in the wind again. Exhale, your hands to heart center and your feet come flat on the ground. Your hands come down into mountain pose. Find a few deep breaths here, finding stillness, and just resetting a little bit. All right, from here, we're gonna find one more tree pose on each side. This time, or we'll start on our left foot again. So inhale, bring your leg to wherever you're feeling this tree pose today. Again, remember to push your standing foot into the ground and your standing foot into your bent foot. So we'll take a few deep breaths here. Maybe finding your arms up out high. Maybe you find them at heart center. And if this tree pose is feeling like you want something different, maybe a little bit of that calf expression, you can try and take it up on the tiptoes. Maybe you come back down. Maybe your tree's getting really wavy here, really waving in the wind. It's got some nice tornado style winds here. But you're strong, you can overcome it. And if you fall out of it, that's okay. Find a few more breaths in this tree. Maybe. I might take it low here on the block for these last few breaths. All right. Bring it back to center. Then we're going to find our final tree on our right foot. So inhale, finding your standing foot in whichever tree you're feeling today. Finding your breath, finding stillness. Maybe you find that calf expression here again, up on the toes. Get real wobbly when I do that. Focus on your breath. Feeling strong, engaging your core here. We'll do a few more breaths. Exhale, foot down, back into your mountain pose. All right, so from here, we've got a difficult part of the practice. We're going to take it to the ground. So however you want to get there, you can just bring it down into a seated position on the ground. I'm going to find legs folded for now. Just finding grounding with the mat. Find a seat, whatever feels comfortable to you. And just start to roll out your shoulders forward, backwards, both directions. Maybe one's going up the top of the circle, one's at the bottom. Switch it up. Thinking about your breath here. Thinking about what the muscles feel like as they go round and round. So you feel it. Where do you feel it? I feel it in my shoulders. I feel it a little bit in my chest. I feel it in my back. I can feel it in like my neck tendons. All right, so once we're finding stillness here, you can rotate, extending your legs down long to the mat, and then slowly lowering all the way down to your back. All right. From here, we're gonna bring our knees into the chest, and then wrap your hands around your knee, well, just below your knees on your shins, and give them a little pull into the chest on an exhale. Maybe finding a curve to your spine. And then on your next exhale, maybe you try and bring another vertebrae in, finding a little more curve, and then exhale, bring your feet flat to the mat, and bring them out wide. finding Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined round angle, or just laying down butterfly. Find a few breaths here. On your next exhale, extend both your legs out long. Then inhale your right leg into the chest. Interlace your fingers on your shin and just pull your right knee toward your shoulder. Maybe rolling out your ankle here. Finding an expression in that ankle. Finding your shin being your shin muscles and calf muscles being stretched in your hamstring. And exhale, that right leg out straight, and then inhale your left leg into the chest, pulling it in here again towards your shoulder. Then finding circles with your ankle here. Maybe feel a little bit of a stretch in your Achilles as well. Then exhale your leg out long. From here, let's just take our Shavasana. So find your legs, find whatever final rest you want to take. Maybe your legs are out wide in the traditional Shavasana corpse pose with your arms out wide, palms up. Whatever feels comfortable for you today. A few more inhales and exhales. Just imagine yourself after a storm when the water is calm. You did the hard work. That was the storm. Now it's time to rest. Thank you for practicing with me today. Stay here as long as you would like. Namaste.